Che, Oni, Bonjour, Sego. Menugujep, good morning. My name is Kiwe Tinwe in the neck. That translates into North Wind Man. I'm from the people of the Mushkegowuk, people of the river, Chapleau Cree First Nation Bear Clan, and I am a beautiful spirit. The other name I go by is Clarence Cachagee, and I'm also sitting here with another beautiful spirit, Grandmother Renee. And I was just reflecting on how long we've known each other and how we began our journey of walking together. And if my reflection is correct, it's about 14 years ago. 14 years ago, almost to this day, that I was fortunate enough to meet you, and that was when I started on a different journey, on a different pathway, and that journey and pathway took me back to myself. Saying that, I needed a beginning, and that beginning that I needed was at Native Horizons. I was at Native Horizons Treatment Center, and what they really helped me with was to start establishing trust and to start looking at myself and be more accountable. And they also helped me with ceremony. But while I was there, I was releasing and I was reconnecting at the same time. And I was beginning to trust. And it's an amazing story when I reflect back on it, because that time actually planted the seed for me to create Crowshield Lodge. And because I was seeing and I was a part of that experience, how getting back to culture and being with our own people, how that could really help heal, realign people so they would have that underpinning and that foundation of culture to move forward in their life. And I thought that was such an amazing experience. And I can remember where you would come in at nighttime.
Yes.
And we'd all be relaxing, and then you'd tell us stories. And we needed that at that time. I needed that at that time. I can't really speak for anybody else, but at that time, I needed that because I was stepping so far out of my comfort zone. And I was going into places and spaces that I've never been before, but my heart pulled me there. And I knew that by going there, it would help me to reconnect with myself, but it would also help to give me purpose, meaning, and direction in my life. Yeah. So I want to thank you for being there at that time in my life and still being here at this time in my life. So I was wondering if you could introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you. Yawa miigwech. Sego, sewa kwego, Ganadisa youngets. Ganadisa is the name that was given to me at our longhouse. And Ganadisa means she completes. I never realized what it really meant till one day I was standing in front of a group and I went like this. And then I realized, isn't that a typical of a woman? You have to complete. You have to complete a family. You have to make it complete. You have to do that job of completing them. And so I am also Cayuga Bear Clan. For the longest time, because our grandmother had gone to residential school, she was under the impression she was Mohawk. And so my grandmother wanted me to find her family. And as a result, it brought joy to me, because even when I was on my path, one of my elders said to me, he said, "You're not a turtle." And I said, "Yes, I am." And he says, "No, you're a bear." He knew by our characteristic, they just seemed to know things. And he says, "You're a bear." And when I did find out, I was very emotional, because knowing that I'm a bear means exactly what I do. And I love giving bear hugs. I'm known for my hugs. And I'm very grateful that my grandmothers, both of them, they were residential. And they married into families that had the knowledge. In my on the male side, there is leadership, and even in my grandmother's side, there is leadership. And my dad's side, there is leadership in his father. And then in my his mother's side, her father was the first constable on the reserve. So you see, I come from a line of inquisitive. Because inquisitive is a medicine. It is the most powerful medicine you have. And that's why when you see a child be born, when the child starts to grow, they ask questions. Who? Why? When? Where? Why? So I come from Six Nation. I live along both my parents lived along the Grand River, one from up the river and one the other down. So the river is my playground, and I love it because it is a powerful gift to our people. It is about healing. That's what the river represents to me. It comes through our community. Before it comes to our community, it brings all the gifts to help us to be new. It brings the gifts of all the medicines on its path. And then it combines, so when it gets to our community, we were blessed with large trees. And these trees are hardwood trees. And then again, trees are our family. And because of the trees, I always wanted to be there to support, because the tree represents so much. The trees are always holding information, and that's how we use a lot of metaphors, and that's how we choose a chief, that he would stand tall and straight. And to me, it also represents a mother, because if you look at a tree and you see all the branches going off, that's her children. And then from that branch goes other little branches. That's her grandchildren. And then when the bark is that covering, that protection of us, and that protection is our way of knowing, our knowledge, because everything is feeding us. Just like today, you see the young people wearing their headphones, and to us, our whole skin, our whole body was receiving messages all the time. That's why people are now realizing how important it is to come back to the land. Do you remember the times when we'd be out there in the cold? That was Grandma's way of bringing back that gift of medicine. Snow is medicine, and that's the most important thing. Even right now, this cold is medicine. And we got too soft. And what we've done was we use a lot of warm water.
Yeah.
And as a result, we're breaking down our immune system. Long time ago, can you imagine, long time ago, we would just have rabbit wrapped around our feet and leggings, and oh, we're too soft today. Look at what I'm wearing. But I like this because it represents the animals, right. And you do have it too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I went to the treatment center, it was a path. I had earlier been, my journey in life was always history, the history of our relationship with all creation. And I love history. I always was asking who, what, when, where, why. Because that is medicine. And this here is your heart. It's just like a big ear. It's listening. and it feels the vibration of love. That's the first language. People forget that. People have forgotten that the first language is love, that everything that was to come out from us was to speak in a kind way, good way. The sign that we have today is a lot of negative words. And that is a result of a broken spirit. And that's why the trees and the animals, and they showed us how to live, how to support one another. And that's why I was being groomed to get ready to go to Native Horizon.
I like that. That's beautiful. When I reflect on what you were sharing about love, my grandmother was in the residential schools. My dad, my uncles, and my aunts. And when I was writing that book, I was talking to my Uncle Mike. And I said, Uncle, why is our family so angry? Because he said, my boy, he says, we have a very angry family. And I said, okay, well, why is that? Because I didn't grow up with a family, but I'm still angry, even though I was detached and I grew up in care. So when I was speaking to my uncle about that, he says, our family didn't experience any love when we were growing up. We were taken away from our parents at a very young age, and we were put into those schools. And he says we're aware of that today, but that means that we have that much more work to do with our children, with ourselves, to find love, to give love, to experience love, to know what that is. So, because love is medicine. And when we talk about medicine at Crowshield Lodge, what we really try to do is be that medicine for people who haven't had that experience before. We create pathways, we create sites, we create opportunities for people to learn, to unlearn, to heal, to release. But what we really want to do is help them answer three very important questions. And those questions are, who am I? Why am I? And what is my purpose in life? And when I could answer those questions, like, things aligned, and then it opened right up. And then it was just like opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. But I had to, with each opportunity, embrace it. And I'm a runner, so I don't like change, and I like to run, but I had to stop running, and I had to sit in that uncomfortableness and feel it, and then just keep moving forward. But what we try to do here is we try to be the best ancestor we can be today. Not when we're gone, but today. So that means creating more spaces and places like the sites that we have, and then having more hard conversations. And we never call people out, but we call them in. And what we call them in to talk about is the environment, our mother. Because I have an understanding that I think we evolved too quickly in the past couple hundred years, and that's when everything just started to move and evolve. But with that evolution, we forgot about our roles and responsibilities to those generations that aren't here yet.
Yeah.
So when I think of 200 years ago, what was the quality of the water in the Grand River? 200 years ago, what was the air like around Hamilton?
Yeah.
Right? 200 years ago, we didn't pull the trigger on global warming. And 200 years ago, we had 40 to 60% more plants and animals
Right.
than we have today that are never going to come back. So I'm always thinking about how can we be that best ancestor so that when we're not here, everything is set up for those generations, and that we can really start talking about and helping people understand that how every decision we make today is going to impact those generations that aren't here yet.
Yes.
So how do you think we could be the best ancestor?
Well, for one, I would say we don't associate with never.
Right? I like that.
Yeah. We were always, it is, because we believed in miracles. We believed in the magic of the land. And it's known today how they're digging up in the ground, there's pots that have seeds in them. And so our job too is to save the seeds. That's why we have hitchhikers. When we go to the forest, that's what their duty is to attach themselves so that we would, we take them and we pluck them and we plant them someplace just by doing that. And the wind has also, but the squirrels, they also have saved them. Mm-hmm. And so they're doing their part. It's now us. We need to stop taking down those trees and yes, they're rebuilding the forest, but those are children. They've taken away the grandfathers and the grandmothers of the tree family when they had all that thickness and that all those resistance from all the chaos that happened over centuries. They knew how to deal with that challenge that was coming, like bug infested. They knew how to deal with it. Today, these young trees, they haven't had that.
Right.
And so these young trees are just like the young people that are out there. And so even though our grandmother went to residential school, the land, I know, the land made a big impact to our grandmas. My grandma was self-reliant. My grandpa died when I was just a young one, and my grandma was able to continue. She had the most beautiful garden, and she did things that people would complain today. Her well was way back here, but her garden was way up here. Mm-hmm. And she had to water that. And so there was the land, and it taught her how to be kind again and gentle. She gained back that. So when I came along, Grandma was always loving and caring. But the younger ones didn't experience that because the grandmother they knew was a grandma that had her power was taken away by being an invalid. The grandma that I knew was strong. She was an inspiration that she could live and she could survive on her own. Because there was time when they didn't have welfare. They didn't have all these contribution to a home today. Yes. She made her living. And it was the land that taught her to share, to be kind, to be loving. Because when you plant a garden, you have to be loving and kind and forgiving. Because if you're not, the plants are going to grow. Yeah. And then my other grandmother, my mom's mom, she taught us music was hers. Music was hers. And she taught us how to dance and laugh. Humor was the most important thing. Grandma made us laugh. And she would do things too, like when we were clearing our land to build our house, we got her, Grandma, come with us. And she was spontaneous. She was spontaneous, and she would do things that would make us laugh. And one of the things she taught us was dancing. To get up and dance, to get rid of your pain. And so when my grandma, she said to me, she says, whenever you're feeling in that slump, whenever you're feeling sad, you can change and not stay there. Just turn on that music and dance. And it was amazing because my mom, her daughter, my mom would get up and dance all by herself. And now my sisters, that we get up, we're the first ones on the floor because music was our way of dealing with conflict, because that's the last thing they took away from us. They banned that. They took away music, they took away our rattles, they took away our drum, because they said we were lazy. And it was in 1920, early 20s, that they said, they put up this poster, and if anyone was caught dancing, that they would be taken to jail.
That's a hard one.
Yes.
That's a hard one for me to even comprehend. How someone can take someone's right away to freedom
Yeah.
and to joy, to happiness, because we were lazy. Well, I think that was just because they didn't understand who we were, right?
Right.
Right? And thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that. And that's how important family is. And our grandfathers and our grandmothers and what they give and what they offer us. And then how we can relay that into the natural world. And when I just want to reflect and go back a little bit to Native Horizons and how I just keep the people who were there are now in different positions and
Right.
doing different things. But I just keep having them come across my path. So when that happens, it's meant to be.
Right.
And it's really great because we check in on each other. A couple, probably 6 months ago, I was at a conference and JR was there. And now we connected and we talked about what's going on, and now he's in a really good position.
He
He's
was just a beginner. Now
Yeah.
he's at the top.
Now he's at the top, but he worked hard, right?
Yeah, he worked hard.
Yes.
And he shared his stories.
Yes. And he's an amazing, amazing helper.
Yes.
And man and dancer, husband, partner. Just love that guy. And then last year, we ran into a youth Indigenous camp down in Oneida, and as soon as we walked in there, I was looking at who's running the camp, and it was Glenn. And then it was like we just reconnected again, and then Glenn, we did a sweat with him, and I remember Glenn now because I remember how hot his sweats were at Native Horizons, and when we did one with him about 6 months ago, they were just as hot. But it was so amazing to see what they are doing down there with 13 Moons.
Yes.
And the children and the youth.
Yes.
How they are running the camp and they're revitalizing culture and bringing back what was taken away.
Yes.
So that's what that just fills my heart to see that happening. And to just always have those connections. It's like walking down a path and a leaf will blow.
Yeah.
Some leaves will blow right across your path, and that's okay. Other leaves will stay on the path. And I look at that like friendships and relationships. Because it's so great when you haven't seen somebody who was a very important piece in your life, and then all of a sudden, a year, 2 years, 5 years, they come into your life again. You take off where you left off, and it's like, it's just meant to be.
Yes.
So it makes me feel so good of all the people that they have helped in that center. And what we're trying to do is find land to build a healing lodge. We've been working with an architect, so we have renderings, Crocheted Lodge. We've been sitting on them for like 4 years, and we're just waiting for the right time, right opportunity to build a lodge for us to heal.
You know what? I think this is the best lodge. It's not the modern.
Right.
This is what they have to sit in a place where their ancestors had.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're there. You're there. You're there because what is happening is they're part of our learning. They're not manufactured lumber.
Yes.
This is the original teachers. So you're there.
I like that. I like that. And then we're also going to look at an Indigenous hospice, what they're doing in Brantford,
Yes.
which is great. I was so happy to hear that that's already taking place somewhere,
Yes.
someplace. And then we're going to look at an Indigenous birthing center.
Oh, we have that too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how good is that? That's amazing that these things are already there. They're already in place. They're already that foundational underpinning of culture that we need to move forward in life. And for us, one of the biggest barriers has always been access to land.
Yes.
That's why all of our sites are on the land of allies. Because we had to build those relationships to build our sites because we don't have access to land. Sitting with that for about 4 years, I was thinking there has to be a different way that we can try to access land. So we're this close to
Yes.
opening up a land trust with Crowshield Lodge.
Oh.
So that people who want to preserve their land for culture, ceremony, ecological purposes, they can donate it to us. And then it will be there for the next 7, 10, 14, 20, 150 generations.
Yes.
So that's what we're trying really hard to do. And we're this close. And with going down and creating that path, we have found that other opportunities are slowly starting to come. But the land is so important to us because it's our mother and she gives us everything that we need. And that's our connection. But then why is it so hard for us to find that connection when the land is all around us?
Well,
Because we can't just normally walk onto land.
that's what, when we were driving coming up here, and I told my sister, I just love it, taking the back roads that you can see. There's still trees, there's still open fields, there's still places that she called it natural habitat. And I'm so thankful because I get so emotional, and that's why I like taking the back roads. I could have taken the faster way and direct the highway, but I wouldn't have seen.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have seen that we still are blessed. But we do need allies.
Yes, allies. I think that allyship is going to be our pathway to reconciliation. Through the allies, through getting them out of their heads, getting them into their hearts, because it's all about just doing the right thing,
Yeah.
right? It's about having that empathy and compassion, and what if this would have happened to you and your family, and that's what I always talk about, because we still have some property owners around this region that have had the property in their families for over 200 years. So I just like to always look at how long and how many generations have prospered from that land.
Yes.
And then we could run a line right beside that prosperity, and we could show everything that we've lost within that same amount of time. And those are the truths that people need to hear.
Yeah. Again, I hear the word loss.
Right.
And I try not to dwell on loss, because a good example was my grandmother's getting back what was taken away from them. They had the opportunity to learn the culture.
Right.
And the land held that. And even us being, the trees are holding all this knowledge for us. And yes, we have lost, please forgive that language, is that it was removed from us. It was removed from us. It wasn't lost because Monday is coming back.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I like to use positive words that it was removed, but we can bring it back.
I like that. I like that. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yes.
Right. And that's always followed me my whole life. So thank you for realigning me with the way I think, because you're right, I am putting it out there.
Yeah.
And when we put words like that out there, we can't take them back.
Yeah.
So once they're out there, they're out there. So thank you. I just need to slow things down at times and be patient. That is one of the things I need to work on.
The tree will show you.
Yes, the tree will show, and the fire will show me how to listen, right?
Yeah.
Right? One of the first teachers that we have of how to listen. So as we move forward into the new year, is there anything that you'd like to say to people around this time that could be, maybe struggling a bit, or maybe because sometimes the winter's hard for us.
Yeah.
It is the hardest season for us. As
There again, you said the hardest.
right.
It is to teach us to go without so that we become stronger.
All right. Okay.
And that's what the moons talk about. The moons, each of those 13 moons talk about a time. And it's not January, February, March.
Right.
It's cold. It's a time without.
Mm-hmm.
It's a time of darkness. And so it tells you to be more resilient. So it's not, our people understood that, so they prepared themselves. That's what our children haven't done, is prepare themselves.
Right.
We are to learn about coal. Coal, to people, it's an awesome opportunity that we sit here when it's cold, because what it's doing, this is a sign of love. Mm-hmm. And that's what our people need to understand. So when it gets really cold, it's looking after our future in the summer to come. So they're putting down all the virus that man has created, all these unhealthiness that's going to affect our trees and our plants and everything. They're putting them down. The coal is taking away their power so that we'll have a productive future. And the snow is like a blanket. The snow is a gift to help. It's very symbolic. It tells us that we all need rest. We need to slow down. And so we look at it as like you said, hard, because we haven't been taught that it is a gift. It was a gift to make sure that we become more resilient in this time. We condition ourselves for this time. There are things we have to go inward and appreciate a gift of fire. We are to always learn how to go without, because that's what makes us healthier and stronger. Because look at all the food that we have today. Look what COVID did. It came to teach us to go without. We couldn't go to McDonald's or Wendy's and Timmy's and all that. It was preparing our bodies to learn how to go without, because there's things that is happening. And so we look at, hard times. Mm-hmm. It's not hard. Once you're conditioned, and this is a good example, we need to condition and remember that back there, our grandpas and grandmas, we grew up in a house that didn't have any insulation. The snow would come in through the cracks, and we wake up and we have snow on our blankets. And we didn't have abundance of blankets. We had each other. And we kept each other warm by body heat. And so what people are going through today, we've gone through those. That's what made us strong to be here today. So I know the children today, the young, even the older ones have gotten soft. Mm-hmm. And walking is their first, I always tell everybody, okay, I want everybody to get up and I want them to squat. And then when everybody gets up and they go, oh, I said, your body's telling you you're not ready. You need to learn how to get up and to squat. Very low, I'll show you. Very low. Because this is how we originally would be. And we didn't. We got up. That's why babies come to us, so that we can pick them up. So the first sign, if you're having, people would always say, I'm getting old. No, you're not using your gift, the body, in a good way. You're not taking care of your body. So that's why we have to get down once in a while.
I like that. I like that. And I, you know, what you have shared, the truths that you've shared, they resonate with me in a good way. And it's about the way we look at things. It's about the way I look at things. It's about what I put out there. And then it's about who I associate myself with.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That will help me be aware. And then with that awareness can come change.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that, if people are never aware of who they are or what they're doing, how can there ever be change? And that's where I'm just a little, you know, when I see what's going on today, I just wonder how many opportunities are out there for these generations that are coming. I know there's lots of opportunities when I see groups like 13 Moons and other places and spaces like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I wonder about how technology is going to pull us away from the land.
Mm.
And how that technology can contribute to making people soft.
Well, if you notice, there's been times hydro has gone out.
Yes.
Technology is not able to work. Mm-hmm. And this is going to happen more because we've got a lot of signs this past year with the energy that is happening out there. That energy can really cut this technology. Can you imagine how they're going to feel? Mm. They're going to have to learn how to go without. So they need to start weaning themselves. So man thinks they got it, the technology that will enable us to take away our power. But the universe is a lot stronger, mm-hmm. and will disconnect us from TV and all these things, modern technology.
The universe and
yes.
that natural law.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I try not to worry, put it out there. I think, the universe will help us.
Yes.
And bring our children back, bring our people back. And one of the things is board games. Trivial questions, sitting together with food. And sometimes, right now, we're not supposed to be having heavy meals. It's soup time. Leftovers. My dad used to tell us a story when because we went through hard times. We didn't think we were poor. It was just that we had the time of going without. Mm-hmm. And so when it was that time, my dad would tell his story. He said, there was this man that had, he would come to communities, and it would be a time when there was famine or going without. And he said this man would come and he says, I have a magic stone here. It has a lot of ingredients that we need. Can you, everyone, go into their cupboards and see what you got? And he says, we'll fill it. Everybody bring something and we'll fill it. And he said, and I'll put that stone in there. And he said, it'll be the best soup ever. It will give us a fulfillment. And so everybody came and they ate and they ate. And he says, we have plenty of water. He says, we'll make that. Because today, they say, this company coming, add in more water. Mm. And that stone is the foundation of that. And so after the meal was done, he took that stone and he went to another village. Mm.
That's community.
Yes.
That's building community. That's bringing people together.
Yes.
That's honoring what everybody has and what they bring,
Yes.
and how that can really enhance a soup
Yep.
or community. So
Or supporting somebody through hard times.
yeah, yeah, yes, and that's I think is how do we best support people,
Yeah.
right? How do we best support?
Isn't that one of the 7 grandfathers?
It is.
And the 7 thickness of our skin.
Yes.
Where has ethics gone? It's slipped away through the night. You look around, ethics is not here anymore like it used to be. Principles and values.
Yes.
And we're hungry for it. We're lonesome for it.
I can see that. We can see that. We can see that. And that's why we've created places like this with Crow Shield Lodge, for the people, for the youth, for the elders, for the men, the women, the two-spirited people. Because after we leave and we close this up, and at nighttime, I believe the ancestors are in here,
Yes.
right?
Yes, they are.
I believe they're in here using this,
Yeah.
happy
Yeah.
that this is here.
Yeah.
And there was about 20 minutes away from here, back in the 80s, there was a archaeological dig. And there's a farm. It's called the Coleman Farm Dig. And what they found in the 80s was the longest longhouses in North America.
Right.
And they're only 20 minutes away from here. A couple months ago, I went out there I was invited out to come and see where this property was. And I went out there with one of the team members, Tom, and we met the Mitons, and I took out some dried fish, and I said some prayers, and I put some fish down, and then I sang a song. And they said that was probably the first time a drum was heard out there in over 500 years. So how beautiful was that? And then I'm trying to figure out, there's no water around, there's no rivers, there's no ponds. And I said, well, what brought these people, the Chinotan people at that time, to build this settlement? And then he took me into a bush right off the side of the field, and there was still water bubbling up through the sand. So 500 years later, a spring is still there, and then there was 3 other springs. So that really warms my heart that it's still here. But how do we revitalize that? How do we honor those people? I would really love to get in there and reconstruct that settlement, those longhouses, bring them back to life.
Well, you're doing it right now.
Yes.
And a lot of our that's what was a big issue, because everything that we made went back into the earth.
Right.
Because he said, there's no validation that you people were here. And yet, what are they finding? Little post holes.
Exactly.
And that's validate, because everything that we did, Indigenous knowledge, was always kind to our Mother the Earth. So we never built structures that was permanent, because we always wanted to take care of her, so that this would be here for the next coming phases.
Nice. I really enjoy that. I like that. I really enjoy that way of looking, that way of being. And that's working with creation. That's in sync with creation. You know, when you're doing something differently throughout those 13 moons, when you're doing something differently throughout those seasons, and you're not working against, it just seems to really align, and then you're not having as big of an impact on shocking anything.
Right.
And that's what we're always very conscious about, that we always think about our responsibility, not only to our mother, but to those next generations.
You notice there's our breath.
Yes.
That's the purest gift of love. when you see your breath. In that, creation has taken care of all the toxic that's in your body. And it's evidence that they have moved it from your body. And being prepared, having the animals again. Look at the difference between today's world. We have no association with the animals. This way we have. And when we feel the animal, that love that was given to us. And so I'm going to share this out there to show you the difference. Feel the difference.
Yeah. When I love the smell too of,
Yes.
of like tanned moose hide or tanned deer.
Yeah. Put your hands in that for a while. And see the difference?
Maybe
Yes.
you put them on your feet.
Yeah. We would have rabbit fur inside our boots, our leggings. We wrap it and insulate it. And our people would walk in wet water. I mean, they took baths at this time. Now people are realizing, what are they doing? New Year's Day, they were going to dip into a pool.
Polar bear dip.
Polar bear dip.
Yeah.
And when we did it on a regular basis, we would go out and go into the rivers, the lakes. And how many children go into the lakes? Because the lakes are cold. And yet you tell them to get out of the water here. But they're going like that. No, 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 no. That's medicine.
Yeah.
And yeah, we complain because it's too cold and we're freezing. That's why a lot of people have arthritis today. It's because they're not conditioning their body.
Conditioning plays such a big part of who we are.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're not even aware how conditioning plays. It molds us. It influences our character.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be things that we've heard when we're young. It could be things that we've heard maybe in school, maybe our uncles, our aunts, our grandparents telling us, and we're not even aware that we're picking this up. And the thing that I always love, or I just smile, because I think throughout my life I've heard this numerous times where, and I think I've even said it, where I'm never going to act like my parents. Right? And then before you know it, in time, your mannerisms are almost, mirroring your parents in one way, shape, or form. And that's without even knowing and wanting to be conditioned like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, conditioning, it plays such a big part. And I like the way that you're bringing conditioning in through a different perspective where it talks about us conditioning ourselves, where it's like self-care.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I can easily admit that I'll become too busy and my self-care will be put aside. And then if I'm not aware of that, in time my self-care will come and do a full circle and it'll slow me down.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll make me take that time,
Right.
right?
So a new way of conditioning yourself is every time you use a comb,
Yeah.
when you comb your hair, is say, I'm decolonizing. I'm taking out all those programmed thoughts that I have been given. I am going to become new. That's the purpose of a comb, was to, all those tangles that you have was reminding you of the control, frustration. And so you have to learn how to be gentle with and that's why braiding your hair was very important. Our people would have long hairs and they also have a tendency to tangle, so it always reminds you to have a good mind. Now I like to add in a new thing, the
Okay.
toothbrush.
All right.
You have to brush your teeth,
Yeah.
brush your tongue, because you've gotten mustard, ketchup, relish, all these things. We don't eat with those 5 different, we need something bitter. But today's society will always like something sweet. Always sweet. We need something spicy. We need something bland. And what else is there? Salty.
Mm.
So our tongue likes sweet and salt. Anything other than that, we go, ugh. But we're supposed to have that and to bring balance into our system. So I use a toothbrush to decolonize myself.
I like that. I like that. I like that. And balance is so important. Balance is so important. You know, that's why we have roles and responsibilities.
Right.
You know, to give us balance, to bring balance,
Yep.
to be balance. And I really appreciate those teachings that I do have about the roles and responsibilities of the men, of the women, and what happens and why we come together. And that's what this lodge was all done with. This was all done with community, men, women, new Canadians even. So as I reflect on our time here today, I'm really reflecting on what I put out there.
Mm-hmm.
And how it can not only impact me, but how it can impact others. And I also look at the endless opportunities that each day brings, and how you're never going to know how long someone is going to be in your life, and how they're just going to keep moving in and moving back out and moving in and moving back out. And then that always takes me to time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, time, how time can be a gift, and how time is a gift, and how we always respect people's time because it's a piece of their life that they're never going to get back.
Mm.
So we always are so grateful for that. And saying that, when we talk about the natural world, I wanted to give you a little something. A little something. This will keep your hands warm and your feet. You can make a pillow out of it. And there's something in here too. And I know that you did come to my book release, and I don't know if I did sign a book for you, but I have another one here for you. And there's also something inside the book, and there's some sema and some medicine. But I wanted to offer you this for being that good medicine in my life, and for being that good medicine for the people in the communities. Because Grandmother Renee, when people are around you, they feel good, they smile. You just make people feel amazing, and I've been in places and spaces, and I've watched the impact that you have on people, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see somebody have that role and carry that, and to always keep people. There's a little bit of accountability there too, about our roles, and about what we've lost and what we can gain. So I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for taking time out of your day, your life, to be with me and us today. And if there's anything we can ever do for you, and I think we were talking about this, we would be more than honored to help you create something. Not only for yourself, for your community, and for the people, and for those generations, so they can have that food. We can feed them in a way where they haven't been fed before. And I think that's what having a good heart and a good mind is all about.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But the most important love that I see is what you're doing for the people. that love you're sharing with others, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
That's the greatest gift. That knowing that you're carrying that love for others. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for noticing that and saying that, because I'm going to let my uncle know that we do have love,
Yeah.
and we do show love,
Yeah.
and we are love.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, for taking time out of their life to be with us, and thank you so much. Ginas Gomatin.
Aho.
Jimmy Gwitch.
Miigwech. Oh.
Aho.